The explosion rocked the Starward Pioneer with enough force to throw Lieutenant Jack Phillips across the engine room. His body slammed into the metal wall panel with a sickening crack. Pain shot through his left arm and chest as he crumpled to the floor. Warning alarms blared through the ship. Everyone out. Section breach imminent. Chief Engineer Kelly Barnes shouted over the noise. She helped 2 junior engineers toward the emergency hatch. Jack tried to stand but fell back with a gasp. His left leg wouldn't hold his weight. Through the haze of pain, he knew it was broken. Probably his ribs too, from the stabbing pain each time he breathed. "Jack, come on," Kelly yelled, reaching back for him. "I can't walk," he called back. "Go, get them out." Kelly hesitated, clearly torn between saving the others and coming back for him. Another explosion decided for her as ceiling panels crashed down, cutting off the path between them. "I'll send help," she shouted before sealing the hatch behind her. Jack dragged himself behind a console, away from the spreading fire. The ship shuddered again. They had only meant to greet the alien vessel, to make first contact with the Virixian Alliance. No one expected weapons fire. There had been no warning, just sudden, devastating attacks that crippled the Pioneer. The room filled with smoke. Jack pulled himself toward the emergency oxygen mask, each movement sending waves of pain through his body. His vision blurred. He knew he wouldn't last long. As he reached for the mask, the room spun, and darkness closed in. Dr. Zix Torval moved carefully through the damaged human ship. The rescue team ahead of him secured each section as they searched for survivors. This was his first assignment with the First Contact Division, and nothing had gone according to protocol. There was a miscommunication. Commander Vex Calter had explained hastily before sending the rescue teams. The human's power signature was mistaken for weapons charging. "We must find survivors." Zix Torval's antennae twitched nervously. He had studied human physiology in theory, but had never treated one. The thought both excited and terrified him. "Life signs detected," called one of the scouts ahead. "Single human, critical condition." Zix Torval rushed forward, medical kit ready. The scout pointed to a still form behind a console, a human male, unconscious and badly injured. Blood seeped from cuts on his face. Even more concerning to Zix Torval was the unnatural angle of the human's left arm and leg. "We need to move carefully," Zix Torval said, kneeling beside the human. His scanner showed multiple fractures and internal injuries. "His support structure is shattered." The security officer, Krell Mathos, clicked his mandibles anxiously. "Is it even worth trying to save him? If a Virixian had such injuries?" "This is not a Virixian," Zix Torval said firmly. "We caused this damage. We must try to help." As they lifted the human onto the stretcher, he groaned but didn't wake. Zix Torval administered pain medication through the human skin, a strange concept for a Virixian doctor used to treating exoskeletons. Back on the Virixian medical ship, Captain Dresvorda confronted Zix Torval. "You brought one aboard. Against protocol." "Captain, I took an oath to preserve life," Zix Torval said, standing straight despite his nervousness. His carapace plates clicked softly as he shifted position. "This human will die without treatment." "The human will die anyway with those injuries," the captain said. "I've seen the scans. His internal support beams are broken. Nothing can survive that. Perhaps for us, but humans may be different. We know so little about them. Please, let me try." The captain's compound eyes studied him for a long moment. "Very well, Doctor. But this human is your responsibility. If he becomes a threat." "He won't," Zix Torval promised, though he had no way to be sure. "Thank you, Captain." As he hurried back to the medical bay, Zix Torval wondered if he had made a terrible mistake. The human's condition was unlike anything he had treated before. According to everything he knew about sentient species with rigid internal structures, such extensive fractures meant certain death. But something about the human's steady heartbeat gave him hope. Perhaps, just perhaps, Humans were more resilient than anyone knew. Jack woke to strange sounds and an even stranger ceiling. This wasn't the starward pioneer. The light hurt his eyes, and his body felt heavy, like he was underwater. He tried to move his arm but couldn't. Something held him in place. "The patient is awake," said a clicking, buzzing voice. Jack turned his head slowly. His breath caught in his throat. Next to his bed stood a creature unlike anything he had seen before. It looked like a mix between a mantis and a beetle, standing upright on two legs. Its body was covered in a hard green-blue shell, and its large eyes seemed to study him with interest. "Can you understand me?" the creature asked. Its mouthparts moved oddly as it spoke, but the words came through clearly in English. "Yes," Jack said, his voice hoarse. "Where am I?" "You are in the medical bay of the Phyrexian vessel Healing Light. I am Dr. Zix Torval, Chief Medical Officer for this mission." The alien moved closer, its movements precise and careful. "You have suffered serious skeletal disintegration." Jack blinked, trying to make sense of the words. "You mean broken bones?" "Yes. Your internal support structure has fractured in multiple places." The alien doctor pointed to a screen showing what looked like an X-ray of Jack's body. Left arm, 6 ribs, left femur, and right ankle. For a Phyrexian, such damage would mean certain death. Memory came back to Jack in pieces. The first contact, the unexpected attack, the explosion that had thrown him across the engine room. "The Pioneer, my crew?" he asked. 12 survivors total," Zix Torval said. "You were the most severely injured." Jack tried to process this. Only 12 out of a crew of 63. The loss hit him hard, but he pushed it aside for now. First, he needed to understand his situation. "Why can't I move?" he asked. "We have placed you in a suspension field to prevent further damage," Zix Torval explained. "Movement would cause your broken support beams to shift and possibly pierce your soft organs." Jack almost laughed despite the pain. "You mean you're worried my broken bones will move around?" "This is not amusing, human. Your condition is very serious." The alien's antennae twitched. "We are discussing options for your continued survival, though I must be honest, they are limited." "I'll heal," Jack said. "Humans heal broken bones all the time." Zix Torval went very still. "That is impossible." "No, it's normal for us. The bones will knit back together in a few weeks." The alien doctor made a series of clicking sounds that the translator didn't convert. Another Phyrexian entered the room, this one wearing different colored markings on its shell. "The human is confused from the pain medications," the new arrival said. "No species can regenerate solid structural components." "I'm not confused," Jack insisted. "Humans break bones and heal all the time. Kids break arms falling off bikes. Athletes break legs and come back next season." The two Phyrexians looked at each other, their antennae moving in what Jack guessed was their version of a private conversation. "I wish to consult with the other human survivors," Zix Torval finally said. "If what you claim is true." "It is true," Jack said. "Ask any human. And please, can you turn off this suspension thing? It's uncomfortable." "That would be dangerous," the second Phyrexian said firmly. "Senior Medical Officer Krell Bathor is correct," Zix Torval added. "Until we understand human physiology better, we must keep you immobilized." Jack sighed. "Can I at least talk to one of my crew? Maybe they can explain better than I can." Zix Torval seemed to consider this. "There is a female human who claims knowledge of biology. She has been asking about you." "That's probably Olivia Martinez, our xenobiologist," Jack said, feeling a spark of hope. "She can explain how human bones work." "I will arrange it," Zix Torval said. "Rest now, human. Your body needs energy, whether or not your claims are true." As the alien doctors left the room, Jack stared at the ceiling. He never thought he'd have to convince someone that broken bones could heal. If these aliens had never experienced healing bones, what other differences might there be? And more importantly, what would they try to do to fix him if they didn't believe him? The Varixian Medical Council gathered in the circular chamber adjacent to the medical bay. 7 senior doctors sat on raised platforms, their exoskeletons gleaming under the bright lights. Dr. Zix Torval stood before them, feeling small and inexperienced. "Present your findings on the human patient," said Chief Medical Director Vren Coulter, the oldest Varixian present. His shell had dulled with age, and he had survived 2 complete molts in adulthood, a rare achievement. Zix Torval activated the holographic display. Images of Jack's broken bones appeared in the air, rotating slowly. The human designated as Jack Phillips has suffered multiple fractures to his internal support structure, Zix Torval explained. Left arm broken in 2 places, 6 ribs cracked, left femur fractured, and right ankle shattered. The council members clicked their mandibles in what humans might recognize as sympathetic wincing. "Yet the human still lives," noted Dr. Taz Vembra, head of trauma medicine. "Fascinating. Humans appear to have remarkable pain tolerance," Zix Torval continued. "But the patient has made an unusual claim. He states that these injuries will heal naturally over time." The chamber filled with buzzing and clicking as the council members spoke over each other. "Impossible. No species can regenerate solid structural components. The human must be delusional from trauma." Chief Medical Director Vren Coulter raised a limb for silence. "What treatment do you propose, Dr. Zix Torval?" Zix Torval hesitated. I am uncertain. If we follow standard Varixian protocols for structural failure, we would amputate the damaged limbs and place the patient on permanent life support. But if the human's claims have any merit—" "They cannot have merit," interrupted Dr. Krellbather, who had now joined the council meeting. "When a Varixian suffers exoskeletal fracture, the break is permanent. This is true for every species we have encountered in the Alliance. But humans are not part of the Alliance," Zix Torval pointed out. "Their biology may be fundamentally different." Vren Coulter considered this. "What does the human suggest?" "He requests time and immobilization of the fractures," Zix Torval said. "He claims the bones will knit back together, naturally." "Preposterous," Krellbather scoffed. "The human simply fears the amputation procedure." A soft chime interrupted the debate. A junior medical officer entered the chamber. "The human female has arrived as requested," she announced. Vren Coulter gestured with his forelegs. "Bring her in." Olivia Martinez walked into the chamber, her eyes wide as she took in the circle of alien doctors. She wore a borrowed Varixian medical gown that was too large for her human frame. "Thank you for allowing me to consult on Lieutenant Phillips' case," she said, her voice steady despite her obvious nervousness. "You claim knowledge of human biology?" Vren Coulter asked. "Yes, I'm the xenobiologist from the Starward Pioneer. I studied comparative physiology at Stanford University on Earth. The patient claims his broken bones will heal without intervention," Krellbather said. "We find this claim dubious." Olivia looked surprised. "Broken bones? Yes, of course they'll heal. That's normal human physiology." The council erupted in buzzing again. Zix Torval felt a strange mixture of excitement and confusion. "Please explain this process," he asked Olivia. "When a bone breaks, blood vessels in the bone and surrounding tissues tear," Olivia explained. "This creates a blood clot that forms the foundation for new bone growth. Cells called osteoblasts create new bone tissue that gradually bridges the break." She spoke slowly, using simple terms, but the council still seemed stunned. "That is not possible," Krellbather insisted. "Structural materials cannot self-repair." "In humans, they absolutely can," Olivia countered. "I can show you medical texts, X-rays of the healing process over time. If what you say is true," Vren Coulter said slowly, "it changes everything we understand about treating your species." "I have an idea," Zix Torval said suddenly. "Let us take new scans of Jack's injuries. If the human female is correct, we may already see signs of this healing process beginning." Vren Coulter considered this, his antennae moving thoughtfully. Very well. We will postpone any invasive treatment for 3 solar cycles and monitor for these supposed changes. As the council disbanded, Zix Torval approached Olivia. Thank you for your assistance. I would very much like to learn more about human healing. Olivia smiled. And I'd like to learn about Virixian physiology. Perhaps we can help each other understand. Zix Torval felt his antennae twitch with excitement. This strange human biology might be the most important discovery of his career. Olivia Martinez spent hours filling out strange Virixian documents. The alien writing looked like scratches and dots to her, but the translation device helped her understand what she was agreeing to. She signed her name for what felt like the 100th time. These legal documents protect both parties, explained the Virixian administrator. You agree to share human medical knowledge, and we agree to use it only for treatment purposes. I understand, Olivia said, flexing her cramped fingers. Can I see Lieutenant Phillips now? The administrator's antennae twitched. Dr. Zix Torval is waiting to escort you. Zix Torval appeared at the door, his greenish exoskeleton catching the light as he moved. Thank you for your patience, Olivia Martinez. The Council rarely allows non-Virixians access to our medical facilities. I appreciate the exception, she said, following him down a curved hallway. How is Jack doing? The patient is stable. We have adjusted his pain medication and nutrition intake based on the limited human medical data in our system. They entered a room filled with medical equipment. Jack lay in the center, still suspended in the field that kept him immobile. His eyes brightened when he saw Olivia. Hey, Martinez, he called. Please tell these guys I'm not going to fall apart if they let me move. Olivia smiled. I'm working on it. She turned to Zix Torval. I brought human medical texts from our ship's database. They should help explain our healing process. She placed a small data device on the nearby console. Zix Torval connected it to the Virixian system, and images of human skeletons and bone structures appeared on the screens. This is remarkable, Zix Torval said, his voice containing a buzz that the translator didn't quite smooth out. Your support structure, these bones, they continuously remake themselves. Yes, Olivia explained. Human bones are living tissue. They contain blood vessels and cells that can rebuild damaged areas. But how? Once a structure is solid, it cannot change without destroying its integrity. For Virixians, maybe, Olivia said. But human bones are different. They're strong, but they're not static. They're constantly being broken down and rebuilt, even when they're not injured. Zix Torval's compound eyes seemed to widen. Show me the healing process. Olivia brought up a series of X-rays showing a broken arm healing over several weeks. Zix Torval studied each image carefully. This cannot be real, he said, but his voice held wonder rather than disbelief. It's completely real, Jack called from his bed. I broke my arm when I was 10, falling out of a tree. 6 weeks in a cast, and it was good as new. A cast? Zix Torval asked. A hard covering that holds the bone in place while it heals, Olivia explained. It prevents movement so the bone can reconnect properly. Zix Torval suddenly moved to a medical scanner. We must take new images of Jack Phillips' injuries immediately. The scanner hummed as it passed over Jack's body. New images appeared on the screen. Zix Torval made a sound that the translator couldn't interpret. What is it? Olivia asked. See here, Zix Torval pointed at the image of Jack's broken arm. This area, it does not match our initial scans. Olivia looked closely. That's callus formation. It's the first stage of bone healing. The body sends cells to bridge the gap between the broken pieces. It's already happening. Zix Torval's voice contained a mixture of disbelief and excitement. The healing has begun after only 3 days. That's normal, Jack said from his bed. Told you I wasn't making it up. Zix Torval turned to Olivia. Our medical council will need to see this. It challenges everything we know about biological structures. The alien doctor's movements became more animated, his limbs moving quickly as he prepared data for transmission. This is unprecedented, he continued. In Virixian medicine, a broken exoskeleton means death or permanent disability. We molt to grow, but once our adult form is set, damage is forever. Maybe we can learn from each other, Olivia suggested. Our bodies work differently, but that just means we have different strengths. Zix Torval paused. Indeed, and different weaknesses. I must inform Senior Medical Officer Krellbather immediately. This changes everything about how we approach human treatment. As Zix Torval hurried from the room, Olivia caught Jack's eye and smiled. I think you just blew their minds with your super healing powers, she said. Jack grinned back. Does this mean they'll let me out of this force field soon? One step at a time, Olivia said. First, let's teach them that humans don't break as easily as they think. 2 weeks passed. Jack's bones continued to heal, surprising the Virixian medical staff with each new scan. Dr. Zix Torval visited Jack daily, often spending hours asking questions about human biology and sharing information about Virixian physiology in return. Today, Jack sat up in bed for the first time since the accident. The suspension field had been reduced to only support his left leg and arm. His ribs still hurt when he breathed deeply, but the sharp pain had faded to a dull ache. Your recovery speed is remarkable, Zix Torval said, checking the latest scans. The callus formation is progressing well in all fracture sites. On Earth, doctors would have put casts on these breaks, Jack said. Your medical tech is actually better for this kind of thing. Zix Torval's antennae twitched with what Jack now recognized as pleasure. We have adapted our regeneration field technology to support your natural healing process rather than replace it. A soft chime announced another visitor. Olivia entered, followed by a Virixian Jack hadn't met before. Lieutenant Phillips, this is Science Director Mazvorla, Olivia said. She's interested in human healing capabilities. The science director's exoskeleton was a deep blue with intricate patterns etched into it. She moved with precise, measured steps to Jack's bedside. Remarkable, she said, studying him. Dr. Zix Torval's reports seemed exaggerated, but I see they were accurate. Glad to be a medical curiosity, Jack said with a small smile. You are more than that, Mazvorla replied. You represent a biological paradigm completely foreign to our understanding. Your species can rebuild structural components without molting. Is molting how Virixians grow? Jack asked. Zix Torval answered, yes. We shed our exoskeletons 5 times during development. After our final adult molt, our exoskeleton hardens permanently. Any damage after that point is irreparable. Jack tried to imagine a life where a broken limb meant permanent disability or death. That sounds difficult. It is our way, Mazvorla said simply. But your way offers possibilities we had not considered. Olivia stepped forward. We've been discussing a cultural exchange of medical information. The Science Directorate has approved bringing the other human survivors to this medical facility. My friends are coming here, Jack asked, feeling a surge of hope. Yes, Zix Torval confirmed. We realized our initial treatment protocols for humans were incorrect. Commander Heather Donahue will arrive tomorrow with the remaining crew members. Jack felt relief wash over him. He had worried about his crewmates, isolated on different Virixian vessels without proper medical understanding. Thank you, he said sincerely. I must warn you, Mazvorla said, not all Virixians welcome this exchange. Some believe humans represent a threat precisely because of your resilience. Zix Torval's antennae drooped slightly. The Traditional Medical Council has filed a formal complaint against my treatment methods. They believe I have violated medical doctrine by allowing bones to heal without intervention. That's ridiculous, Jack said. It is politics, Mazvorla corrected. Your ability to recover from injuries that would kill a Virixian makes some leaders nervous. We didn't ask to be attacked, Jack pointed out. A tragic miscommunication, Mads Vorla said, but one that has created an opportunity for greater understanding between our species. A junior medical officer entered the room with a tray of strange-looking food. Nutritional supplements as requested, Doctor. Ah, yes, Zix Torval said. We have modified these protein compounds to better support bone regeneration based on human nutritional requirements. Jack looked doubtfully at the greenish paste. I don't suppose you have a cheeseburger. Olivia laughed. They're trying, Jack. The food scientists are fascinated by our digestive system, too. Everyone's very interested in studying us, Jack said. I feel like a lab specimen sometimes. You are helping us learn, Zix Torval said earnestly. Every day, your body teaches us something new about biological possibilities. Jack took a cautious taste of the green paste. It wasn't terrible, slightly sweet with a mint-like flavor. I have more news, Mads Vorla said. The High Council has approved construction of a joint human Virixian medical research facility. They wish to formally study the differences between our species. That's a big step, Olivia said. Indeed, Mads Vorla agreed. And they wish Lieutenant Phillips to be the first human participant, once his recovery is complete. Jack looked at the alien visitors gathered around his bed. 2 weeks ago, they had been strangers, enemies even. Now they were discussing a future of cooperation and shared knowledge. I think I'd like that, he said. Jack woke in the middle of the night, his body burning with fever. Something was wrong. Very wrong. He tried to call for help, but his throat felt swollen and dry. The room spun around him as he reached for the call button. The medical alert sounded through the Virixian medical bay. Dr. Zix Torval had been reviewing Jack's latest scans when the alarm triggered. He rushed to the human's room, medical kit in hand. Jack was thrashing weakly against the partial suspension field, his skin flushed red. The medical scanner showed his temperature far above normal human levels. Patient experiencing severe immune response. Zix Torval called to the medical team following him. Possible reaction to medication or nutrition supplements. Olivia Martinez arrived moments later, still pulling on a medical gown over her sleek clothes. What happened? Unknown, Zix Torval said, injecting Jack with a cooling agent. His system is rejecting something. The bone healing was progressing well, but now. The scanner showed Jack's heart rate climbing dangerously. His breathing came in short gasps. It might be the new bone growth stimulant, Olivia suggested, looking at Jack's medical chart. Human bodies can reject foreign substances. Senior Medical Officer Krell Bathor entered the room. What is the situation? Critical, Zix Torval replied. The human is experiencing systematic rejection of our treatments. Krell Bathor's antennae went flat against his head. I warned against experimenting with cross-species protocols. This isn't helping, Olivia snapped. We need to flush his system and stabilize him. Jack's monitors began beeping more rapidly. His oxygen levels were dropping. We need to perform emergency surgery, Zix Torval decided. The stimulant is causing fluid buildup around his healing bones. Surgery. Krell Bathor buzzed with alarm. You have never operated on a human before. I will guide him, Olivia said firmly. I have basic medical training. That is against protocol, Krell Bathor objected. He will die if we do nothing, Zix Torval countered. I took responsibility for this human's care, and I will not lose him now. The next hours passed in a blur of activity. The operating theater was adjusted for human physiology. Olivia stood at Zix Torval's side, explaining human anatomy as the Virixian doctor carefully drained the fluid building up around Jack's healing fractures. The bone marrow is different from our diagrams, Zix Torval noted, his delicate instruments probing the affected areas. Every human is slightly different, Olivia explained. That's part of what makes treating us challenging. Zix Torval worked with precision that belied his unfamiliarity with human bodies. His 6-fingered hands moved with surprising gentleness as he followed Olivia's guidance. The inflammation is receding, He noted after 2 hours of careful work. His vital signs are stabilizing. Krellbather, who had remained to observe, clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. Your technique is impressive, Doctor. I am simply following the human's instructions and adapting, Zix Torval said humbly. When the surgery was complete, Jack's fever began to drop. The medical team moved him back to his recovery room, with new monitoring equipment installed. Zix Torval and Olivia sat exhausted in the observation area, watching Jack's steady vital signs on the monitors. Thank you, Zix Torval said quietly. Your knowledge saved his life. We worked together, Olivia replied. I couldn't have done the actual surgery. I was afraid, the alien doctor admitted. When I saw his reaction, I thought I had killed him with my experimental treatments. Fear is natural when facing the unknown, Olivia said. What matters is that you didn't let it stop you from acting. The door slid open and Commander Heather Donahue entered. She had arrived with the other survivors just before Jack's crisis began. How is he? She asked, her face showing concern. Stable, Zix Torval answered. The crisis has passed. His natural healing processes should resume normally now. Heather looked at the alien doctor with new respect. The other Virixians said you were taking a great professional risk by treating him your way. Zix Torval's antennae dipped slightly. Some believe I have strayed too far from traditional Virixian medicine. You saved his life, Heather said simply. My crew, and I won't forget that. In the recovery room, Jack slept peacefully, unaware of the drama that had unfolded. His bones continued their slow, steady healing, a process that still seemed like magic to the Virixian medical staff watching over him. 6 weeks after the initial incident, Jack stood on his own 2 feet for the first time. Dr. Zix Torval and a team of Virixian medical staff watched with what Jack had learned to recognize as amazement. Their antennae quivered and their compound eyes seemed fixed on his legs. How does it feel? Zix Torval asked, medical scanner in hand. Wobbly, Jack admitted, but good. No pain, just weakness from not using the muscles. Commander Heather Donahue stood nearby with Olivia. Both women smiled as Jack took his first tentative steps. The scans show complete fusion of the bone tissue, Zix Torval announced to the observing medical team. The human's claim was accurate. The bones have indeed mended themselves. One of the junior Virixian doctors moved closer, studying Jack's leg with obvious fascination. No seams, no weak points. It is as if the break never happened. Better than that, Zix Torval corrected. The bone is actually stronger at the healed point than it was before. The human body reinforced the previously broken area. Jack took a few more steps, gaining confidence. On Earth, we have a saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Guess that's literally true for bones. The door slid open, and Science Director Mazvorla entered, followed by several members of the Virixian High Council. Jack recognized them by their elaborate shell decorations and the way the medical staff straightened respectfully. Council Leader Drez Kaltar wishes to observe the human recovery himself, Mazvorla announced. The tallest Virixian stepped forward, his dark green exoskeleton marked with gold patterns. Lieutenant Phillips, your recovery has created quite a stir in our government. Jack tried to stand straighter. I hope that's a good thing, sir. It is complicated, the council leader replied. Some see your species' regenerative abilities as proof that humans would make formidable enemies. Others see potential for beneficial alliance. Commander Donahue stepped forward. We didn't come to your space looking for enemies. The Starward Pioneer was on a peaceful mission. Yes, and our misinterpretation of your ship's power signature led to tragedy, Drez Kaltar acknowledged. Which is why I am here to discuss reparations and future relations. The council leader turned to address the entire room. The High Council has voted. We will establish a permanent joint medical research station to study the differences between our species. This facility will serve as the foundation for diplomatic relations between the Virixian Alliance and humanity. Murmurs spread through the room. Jack caught Olivia's eye, and she gave him a small nod of encouragement. Additionally, Dreskalter continued, Dr. Zix Torval will be appointed head of xenobiology at this new facility in recognition of his groundbreaking work with human physiology. Zix Torval's antennae shot straight up in surprise. Council leader, I am honored, but many senior doctors have more experience. None have your willingness to challenge established thinking. Dreskalter interrupted. Your work with Lieutenant Phillips proves this. Sometimes progress requires us to break with tradition. The council leader turned back to Jack and Commander Donahue. We will provide transport to return you and your surviving crew to the nearest human outpost, but we hope some of you might consider returning to work at the Joint Research Facility once it is established. Commander Donahue looked thoughtful. I'll need to report to Earth Command, but I believe they would welcome such cooperation. Jack watched the proceedings with a sense of wonder. His broken bones, something so ordinary to humans, had somehow become the foundation for interspecies diplomacy. Later, as Jack packed his few belongings in preparation for departure, Zix Torval visited him one last time. I brought you something, the alien doctor said, holding out a small data crystal. Complete scans of your healing process. I thought you might want a copy. Jack took the crystal. Thanks, though I'm not sure who I show it to. Most humans wouldn't find it very interesting. To us, it was revolutionary, Zix Torval said. It changed everything we thought we knew about biological limitations. Jack smiled. That's the thing about limitations. Sometimes they only exist because we haven't seen beyond them yet. Zix Torval's antennae twitched in what Jack now knew was agreement. Will you consider returning? When the research station is complete. Jack looked down at his fully healed leg. I think I might. Seems like we still have a lot to learn from each other. 1 year later, Jack Phillips stood at the viewport of the transport shuttle, watching as the Joint Human Virixian Medical Research Station came into view. The station resembled a giant wheel spinning slowly in space, its shining metal surface reflecting the light of the nearby star. First time back? Asked the shuttle pilot, a young woman named Lisa Chen. Yes, Jack replied. Hard to believe it's been a year already. After returning to Earth, Jack had spent months in debriefings with Earth Command. The first official contact with the Virixian Alliance had not gone as planned, but the aftermath had created unexpected opportunities. When the call came for volunteers to staff the new research station, Jack had signed up immediately. The shuttle docked with a gentle bump. Jack gathered his bags and made his way to the airlock. The station's artificial gravity felt slightly lighter than Earth normal, a compromise between human and Virixian preferences. As the inner door opened, Jack was surprised to see Dr. Zix Torval waiting for him. The Virixian doctor's exoskeleton seemed to have a slightly deeper blue tint than Jack remembered. Lieutenant Phillips. Zix Torval greeted him, antennae twitching with pleasure. Welcome to the research station. Just Jack now, he replied with a smile. I left the service. Thought I'd be more useful here as a civilian liaison. An excellent decision, Zix Torval said. Your familiarity with both our medical practices will be invaluable. They walked together through the station's wide corridors. Jack noticed that all signs were written in both human and Virixian languages. The doors and facilities were designed to accommodate both species comfortably. The station has been operational for 3 months, Zix Torval explained as they walked. We have 23 Virixian and 17 human staff members currently. You are the 18th human to join us. How's it going so far? Jack asked. There have been adjustments, Zix Torval admitted. Our species have different sleep cycles, temperature preferences, and working methods. But we are learning from each other every day. They entered a large medical bay where several humans and Virixians worked side by side. A young Virixian was carefully applying a cast to a human woman's arm while a human doctor observed. That's Dr. Liz Norrell, Zix Torval explained. She's learning human bone-setting techniques. She found the concept of casts fascinating. "And how are the human doctors adapting to Varixian medicine?" Jack asked. "Come see." Zix Torval led him to another section where a human doctor was delicately examining the joint where a Varixian's limb connected to its exoskeleton. "Dr. Alan Peters is becoming our expert on Varixian molt care," Zix Torval said proudly. "He has developed new treatments for molt complications that have already saved 3 lives." Jack felt a sense of pride seeing the cooperation between the species. "All this because my bones broke and healed." "Sometimes great changes come from small beginnings," Zix Torval agreed. They continued their tour, ending at the station's observation lounge. Through the large viewports, Jack could see both the Varixian home system and the direction of Earth space. "Your quarters are prepared," Zix Torval said. "But before you settle in, there is something I wanted to show you." The Varixian doctor handed Jack a datapad. On it was a research paper titled Cross-Species Medical Protocols, the Phillips Method for Interspecies Treatment Assessment. "You named a medical protocol after me?" Jack asked, surprised. "It seemed appropriate," Zix Torval replied. "The approach you inspired, to question assumptions about biological universality, has already improved treatments for 7 different species in the Varixian Alliance." Jack stared out at the stars, thinking about how far they had come. A year ago, he had been a badly injured survivor on an alien ship, his broken bones a mystery to his rescuers. Now those same broken and healed bones had changed how 2 species saw each other and themselves. "I never thought being injured would lead to all this," Jack said quietly. "In Varixian philosophy, we have a saying," Zix Torval offered, "the crack in the shell lets in the light." Jack nodded. "I like that." Together, they watched as a Varixian ship and a human vessel passed each other in the distance, exchanging friendly signals as they went about their business. No panic, no misunderstandings. Just 2 different species, learning to work together one day at a time.